Good manners are not weakness. They are the quiet power to remain respectful in a world that has forgotten respect. Anyone can be polite when life is easy, but your true character appears when you are ignored, challenged, or treated unfairly. In this audiobook, you will discover 8 timeless lessons that can transform the way people see you, trust you, and remember you, without ever demanding their respect. Chapter 1. Respect people before you need something from them. Real character is revealed by the way you treat people when you have nothing to gain from them. Anyone can become polite when they need help, want approval, or are speaking to someone powerful. But good manners begin when respect becomes part of your nature, not a temporary strategy. The cleaner, waiter, driver, employee, stranger, and quiet person in the room deserve the same human dignity as someone wealthy, successful, or influential. People notice when your kindness changes according to status. They can feel when your smile is sincere and when it is only being used to get something. That is why true respect must appear before the favor, before the opportunity, and before the moment you need support. Greet people properly, use a calm tone, acknowledge their effort, and never make someone feel invisible because they cannot benefit you. A respectful person understands that every human being carries private struggles, responsibilities, and emotions. One small act of courtesy may give someone strength on a difficult day. Your position may be forgotten, but your behavior will remain in people's memory. Treat everyone well, not because they may help you later, but because your manners should never depend on what another person can offer. Chapter 2. Listen without preparing your next answer. Most people do not truly listen. They simply wait for their chance to speak. While the other person is explaining an idea, sharing a problem, or expressing pain, their mind is already building a reply. They interrupt, offer advice too quickly, or turn the conversation back toward themselves. This may seem harmless, but it quietly tells the speaker that their words are less important than yours. Good manners require more than remaining silent. They require giving someone your full attention without rushing to control the conversation. When a person speaks, look at them, put distractions aside, and allow them to finish their thought. Do not check your phone, complete their sentences, or assume that you already understand what they mean. Listen for the feelings behind their words, because people do not always say exactly what they are carrying inside. Sometimes they are not asking for a solution, they simply need to feel understood. A thoughtful listener asks calm questions, remembers important details, and responds to what was actually said. Listening does not mean you must agree with everything. It means respecting someone enough to understand their position before sharing your own. People may forget your advice, but they will remember the rare feeling of being completely heard. In a world where everyone wants attention, your ability to give attention will make your presence powerful and unforgettable. Chapter 3. Control your tone before it damages your message. You can speak the truth and still lose respect because of the way you deliver it. A correct message spoken with anger, mockery, arrogance, or contempt often creates conflict instead of understanding. People may forget your exact words, but they will remember how your voice made them feel. This is why controlling your tone is one of the most powerful signs of good manners and emotional strength. Before responding in a tense moment, slow down and ask yourself whether you want to solve the problem or simply release your frustration. Raising your voice may make you feel powerful for a few seconds, but it often weakens your message. A calm tone shows that your emotions are under your command. It allows you to be firm without becoming cruel and honest without humiliating anyone. Instead of attacking a person's character, address the behavior that needs to change. Do not say, "You are careless and useless." Say, "This was not handled properly and we need to correct it." One sentence creates shame, while the other creates a chance for improvement. You never need insults to prove that you are serious. The strongest voice is not always the loudest one. It is the voice that remains steady when emotions rise. When you control your tone, People are more likely to hear your meaning instead of defending themselves against your anger. Speak in a way that protects your dignity, strengthens your message, and leaves no regret after the conversation ends. Chapter 4. Master the small courtesies most people ignore. Good manners are rarely proven through grand speeches or dramatic acts. They are revealed in the small moments most people consider unimportant. Returning a greeting, arriving on time, saying thank you, holding the door, replying to a message, lowering your voice in a quiet place, and apologizing when you are wrong may seem like minor actions, but together they reveal the quality of your character. People often judge your reliability, humility, and respect through these simple behaviors long before they know anything about your achievements. A person may wear expensive clothes, speak confidently, and hold an impressive position, but if they constantly interrupt others, arrive late without explanation, ignore messages, or treat service workers carelessly, their lack of manners becomes impossible to hide. Class is not something you purchase. It is something you practice. It appears in the way you behave when nobody is praising you and when there is no reward for doing the right thing. Time is one of the most valuable things a person owns. When you repeatedly arrive late, cancel at the last moment, or keep someone waiting without informing them, you send a silent message that your time matters more than theirs. Unexpected situations happen, but respect requires communication. A short message explaining that you are delayed can protect trust. People do not expect perfection, but they do expect consideration. The same principle applies to communication. When someone sends you an important message, asks a clear question, or waits for a decision that affects them, ignoring the conversation creates unnecessary uncertainty. You may not always have an immediate answer, but you can acknowledge the message and explain when you will respond. Silence is sometimes necessary, but careless silence can feel disrespectful. Good manners prevent people from carrying confusion you could easily remove. Learn to use simple words that many people have forgotten. Please, thank you, excuse me, and I am sorry. These words do not make you smaller. They show that your ego is not controlling your behavior. Saying thank you tells someone that their effort was noticed. Saying please turns a command into a respectful request. Saying excuse me shows awareness of another person's space. Saying I am sorry proves that protecting the relationship matters more than protecting your pride. An apology becomes powerful when it is honest and specific. Do not say, I am sorry you feel that way, because that avoids responsibility. Say, I am sorry for what I said. It was disrespectful, and I understand why it hurt you. A sincere apology does not include excuses or place the blame back on the wounded person. It acknowledges the mistake, accepts its effect, and shows a willingness to behave differently. Small courtesies also include respecting physical spaces. Do not play loud sounds where others are working or resting. Do not leave a place dirty because someone else is paid to clean it. Do not take more than your share when others are waiting. Do not stand in someone's way while remaining unaware of the people around you. Consideration means remembering that public spaces do not belong only to you. Your behavior at a table, in a queue, inside a vehicle, or during a meeting reveals whether you notice the comfort of others. A well-mannered person does not push forward simply because they are impatient. They do not dominate shared spaces, speak over everyone, or behave as if ordinary rules are beneath them. They understand that self-control is a form of respect. Pay attention to how you treat borrowed things. Return them on time and in good condition. Do not make someone repeatedly ask for what belongs to them. If you damage something, admit it and replace it. Reliability in small matters prepares people to trust you with greater responsibilities. When your word is dependable, your reputation becomes strong without you needing to advertise it. Remember names when possible. A person's name carries personal meaning, and using it shows that you were attentive enough to remember them. Acknowledge people when you enter a room. Thank those who serve, assist, guide, or support you. Do not act as if their effort is automatic or unworthy of recognition. Nobody should feel invisible in your presence. Another forgotten courtesy is allowing people to finish speaking. Interrupting may feel like excitement or confidence to you, but it can make others feel dismissed. Even when you already understand the point, let the speaker complete it. You may discover something you would have missed by rushing. Patience in conversation communicates maturity more strongly than speaking constantly. Good manners also require you to respect invitations and commitments. Do not accept an invitation when you already know you will not attend. Do not make promises simply to appear agreeable. A polite refusal is better than an unreliable agreement. Say no honestly and respectfully instead of creating false hope and later disappearing. Never underestimate the power of appreciation. Many people work hard without receiving recognition. A thoughtful compliment, sincere thank you message, or simple acknowledgement can remain in someone's memory for years. Praise the effort, not only the outcome. Tell people when their work made a difference. Gratitude costs nothing, yet it can completely change the atmosphere of a relationship. These actions may appear ordinary, but that is exactly why they are powerful. Most people are waiting for a great opportunity to prove that they are good, while ignoring the small opportunities placed before them every day. Your character is not formed only during important moments. It is built through repeated choices that seem too small to matter. Every greeting you return, every promise you keep, every apology you offer, and every moment of patience adds something to your reputation. People begin to see you as dependable, thoughtful, and emotionally mature. They feel comfortable around you because they do not have to fight for basic respect. Master the courtesies others ignore. Arrive with consideration, speak with awareness, appreciate effort, honor commitments, and leave shared spaces better than you found them. These habits will make your presence stand out in a world where thoughtlessness has become normal. True elegance is not found in appearance. It is found in the quiet discipline of making other people feel respected without needing to be reminded. Chapter 5. Correct people privately and appreciate them publicly. The way you correct someone reveals whether your goal is to help them improve or to make yourself feel superior. Many people claim they are only being honest, but their timing, tone, and choice of audience expose a different intention. They wait until others are watching, point out the mistake loudly, and turn a simple correction into a public humiliation. The problem may be solved, but the person's dignity is damaged. Good manners teach you that correction should create improvement, not embarrassment. When someone makes a mistake, pause before reacting. Ask yourself what result you actually want. Do you want the person to understand what went wrong and do better next time? Or do you want everyone around you to see that you were right? These are not the same goal. One builds trust, the other feeds pride. Public correction often puts people into defense mode. Even when they know they are wrong, they may stop listening because they feel exposed. Their attention moves away from the lesson and toward protecting themselves from shame. Instead of thinking, "How can I improve?" they begin thinking, "How do I escape this situation?" That is why private correction is usually more effective. Take the person aside, speak calmly, explain the behavior without attacking their identity. Do not say, "You always ruin everything." Say, "This part was handled incorrectly, and here is what needs to change." The first statement makes the person feel hopeless. The second gives them a clear path forward. Good correction is specific. Vague criticism creates confusion. Telling someone they are careless does not show them what to fix. Explain what happened, why it mattered, and what should be done differently. Clear guidance turns a mistake into a lesson. Your tone matters as much as your words. A respectful voice shows that the person's mistake has not erased their value. You can be firm without becoming cruel. You can make expectations clear without speaking as if the person is beneath you. The strongest leaders, parents, teachers, and partners understand this. They do not need insults to prove authority. Imagine a worker who makes an error in front of the team. A poor leader attacks them publicly, raises their voice, and uses the moment to display control. The worker may correct the error, but fear and resentment begin to grow. A wise leader handles the urgent problem, then speaks privately with the worker. They explain the mistake, listen to what caused it, and set a clear standard for the future. The lesson remains, but dignity is protected. The same principle applies at home. Parents sometimes correct children in front of relatives or strangers, believing embarrassment will make them behave better. Instead, the child may feel rejected and powerless. Discipline is necessary, but humiliation is not. A child learns more from calm, clear correction than from being turned into an example for everyone else. In relationships, private correction becomes even more important. Never reveal your partner's weaknesses in front of friends simply to win an argument. Do not use personal mistakes as entertainment. A relationship cannot feel safe when private failures may become public stories. If someone has trusted you with their struggles, protect that trust. You may need to challenge their behavior, but you do not need to expose their vulnerability. Correct the action while guarding the person's dignity. This creates an environment where people can admit mistakes without fearing destruction. There are moments when a correction must happen immediately, especially when someone is causing harm or creating danger. Even then, address the situation with as little humiliation as possible. Stop the behavior clearly, protect those affected, and save the detailed conversation for a private setting. Urgency may require firmness, but it does not require cruelty. Just as correction should usually be private, appreciation should often be public. Many people do the opposite. They criticize loudly and praise quietly. They make mistakes impossible to hide, but treat good effort as if it is expected and unworthy of notice. This slowly destroys motivation. When someone contributes well, acknowledge it. Mention their effort in front of others. Give credit clearly. Do not take their work and present it as your own. Public appreciation tells people that their contribution matters. It strengthens confidence and encourages others to value good work. A sincere compliment can change the atmosphere of a room. It does not have to be exaggerated. Say, "You handled that situation with patience," or "Your preparation made this easier for everyone." Specific appreciation feels real because it shows that you were paying attention. Do not praise people only when the final result is perfect. Sometimes effort deserves recognition, even when the outcome is not ideal. A person may have shown courage, discipline, growth, or responsibility. Acknowledging progress helps them continue. Public appreciation is especially powerful when it comes from someone with influence. A manager who gives credit to an employee, a parent who recognizes a child's effort, or a teacher who notices improvement can create confidence that lasts for years. People often remember the moment someone respected publicly recognized their value. However, appreciation should never become manipulation. Do not praise people only when you want something from them. Do not give false compliments to control their behavior. Genuine appreciation is based on truth. It does not flatter, it recognizes. Be careful not to compare people while praising them. Saying, "You are the only useful person here," may compliment one person while insulting everyone else. Appreciation should lift someone without pushing others down. Say what the person did well without turning praise into another form of disrespect. This principle also protects you from gossip. Many people correct others in their absence by discussing their mistakes with everyone except the person who needs to hear it. They describe the problem repeatedly, gather agreement, and allow frustration to grow. That is not correction, it is avoidance. If a person's behavior genuinely needs to change, speak to them directly. Do not create a courtroom behind their back. Give them the chance to understand, explain, and improve. Talking about someone is easier than talking to them, but good manners require courage. Before correcting anyone, examine your own emotions. Sometimes anger makes a small mistake look enormous. Sometimes jealousy hides inside criticism. Sometimes we become harsh because another person's failure gives us a chance to feel more capable. Self-awareness prevents correction from becoming revenge. Ask yourself whether the issue truly needs to be addressed. Not every mistake requires a speech. Some things can be overlooked. Good manners include knowing when to correct and when to let a minor imperfection pass. Constant criticism makes people anxious and damages relationships. Choose the right moment. Correcting someone when they are exhausted, deeply upset, or already overwhelmed may cause the message to fail. Timing does not mean avoiding the conversation forever. It means waiting until the person can actually receive it. Begin with respect. You can say, "I want to discuss something that may help us avoid this problem again." This prepares the person without attacking them. Then describe what happened using facts rather than exaggerated statements. Avoid words such as always and never, unless they are completely accurate. Saying, "You never listen," turns one problem into a judgment about the entire person. Instead say, "During today's conversation, I felt interrupted several times." This keeps the discussion focused and fair. Allow the person to respond. Correction should not become a one-sided punishment. There may be details you do not know. Listening does not remove accountability, but it helps you understand the full situation. Sometimes what appears to be carelessness is confusion, lack of training, or a problem that was never communicated. When the person accepts responsibility, do not continue humiliating them. Once the lesson has been understood, allow the conversation to move toward improvement. Repeating the mistake again and again can turn correction into emotional punishment. If someone sincerely apologizes, do not make them beg endlessly to satisfy your pride. You may still need time to rebuild trust, but you can acknowledge the apology with dignity. Holding a person beneath you after they have admitted their failure does not make you strong. When you are the person being corrected, receive the message with maturity. Good manners are not only about how you speak, they are also about how you respond. Resist the urge to defend yourself immediately. Listen for any truth that can help you grow. Even when the delivery is imperfect, the lesson may still be valuable. Do not confuse embarrassment with injustice. Sometimes correction feels uncomfortable because it exposes something you need to change. A mature person can separate the useful message from the unpleasant feeling. They ask, "What can I learn from this?" instead of only asking, "How dare they say this to me?" At the same time, you are allowed to request respectful treatment. You can say, "I am willing to discuss the mistake, but I would prefer to do it privately." This protects your dignity without rejecting responsibility. A strong culture is created when people feel safe enough to admit errors and motivated enough to improve. This can happen in a family, workplace, friendship, or community. When correction is respectful and appreciation is sincere, people become more honest. They stop hiding mistakes and begin seeking guidance. Fear may produce temporary obedience, but respect produces lasting growth. A person who changes only because they are afraid of humiliation will behave differently when no one is watching. A person who understands the lesson and feels valued is more likely to improve from within. Remember that everyone you meet is still learning. You have made mistakes you wish others had handled gently. You have misunderstood instructions, spoken badly, forgotten responsibilities, and failed to meet expectations. The patience you once needed should influence the patience you now give. This does not mean lowering standards. Good manners and strong standards can exist together. You can demand excellence while protecting dignity. You can reject poor behavior while still treating the person as human. In fact, respectful correction often produces higher standards because people can focus on improvement instead of recovering from humiliation. Make it your rule. Never use someone's mistake as a stage for your ego. Speak privately whenever possible. Describe the problem clearly. listen fairly, and guide the person toward a better action. Then, when someone does well, do not remain silent. Give credit openly. Let people know that their patience, effort, honesty, and growth were noticed. A person may forget the exact advice you gave, but they will remember whether you corrected them with dignity or crushed them with shame. They will remember whether you stole their credit or celebrated their contribution. These moments shape your reputation more deeply than your title, intelligence, or authority. Correct people in a way that makes improvement possible. Appreciate them in a way that makes goodness worth repeating. When you learn to protect dignity during failure and recognize value during success, your manners become more than politeness. They become leadership. Chapter 6. Set boundaries without becoming disrespectful. Good manners do not mean saying yes to everything. They do not require you to accept repeated disappointment, tolerate insults, ignore manipulation, or remain available to people who constantly drain your energy. Many people confuse kindness with unlimited access. They believe that if you are respectful, you must always agree, always forgive immediately, always remain silent, and always place their comfort above your own peace. This is not good manners. It is the slow abandonment of yourself. A boundary is a clear decision about what you will accept, what you will refuse, and how you expect to be treated. It protects your time, dignity, emotional health, and personal values. Without boundaries, even a generous person can become exhausted, resentful, and emotionally empty. You may continue smiling on the outside while silently becoming angry with everyone around you. The problem is not always that people ask too much. Sometimes the problem is that you never clearly tell them where your limits begin. The purpose of a boundary is not to control another person. You cannot force people to behave exactly as you want. You can only decide what you will do when their behavior crosses a line. A command says, "You are not allowed to speak that way." A boundary says, "If you continue speaking to me disrespectfully, I will end this conversation." The first tries to control them. The second explains your response. This difference is important because strong boundaries are built on self-control. You do not need to threaten, insult, or create drama. You simply state what you will accept and then act consistently. When your words and actions match, people learn that your limits are real. Many people struggle to set boundaries because they fear being disliked. They worry that saying no will make them appear selfish, rude, ungrateful, or difficult. They would rather disappoint themselves than risk disappointing someone else. They agree to requests they do not have the time, energy, or desire to complete. Later, they feel trapped by commitments they never wanted. A respectful no is better than a dishonest yes. When you say yes, while secretly feeling resentment, your agreement is not genuine. You may complete the task, attend the event, lend the money, or offer the help, but bitterness begins growing inside you. Over time, you may blame the other person for a decision you made because you were afraid to speak honestly. Learn to say, "I am unable to do that," without writing a long explanation. You can say, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I cannot commit to this." You can say, "I appreciate the invitation, but I will not be able to attend." These sentences are clear, polite, and complete. You do not need to create an excuse so dramatic that nobody can question it. Some people will continue pushing after you say no. They may ask why, try to make you feel guilty, or remind you of everything they have done for you. This is where many boundaries collapse. A person says no once, then turns it into yes after enough pressure. When someone refuses to respect your answer, repeat it calmly. You might say, "I understand that this is important to you, but my answer is still no." You do not need to argue about your reasons. Repeating your decision without anger shows confidence. Do not add insults simply because someone is persistent. Saying, "You are selfish for even asking," may create a larger conflict than necessary. Address the request, not the entire character of the person. Your goal is to protect your limit without becoming cruel. Boundaries are especially important in communication. Nobody has the right to insult you repeatedly and then demand your continued attention. You can say, "I am willing to discuss this, but I will not continue while I am being shouted at." If the shouting continues, leave the conversation. The power of this boundary comes from action. If you threaten to leave every time but always remain, your words lose meaning. People learn that your limits disappear when they apply enough pressure. Consistency teaches others how to treat you. You can be calm and still be serious. Many people believe that strength must look aggressive. They raise their voice, make threats, or speak harshly because they think politeness will make their boundary appear weak. In reality, calmness often makes a boundary more powerful. It shows that you are not reacting from uncontrolled emotion. You have thought clearly and made a decision. Consider the difference between saying, "Leave me alone, you are impossible and I am tired of you," and saying, "I need space now. I will continue this conversation tomorrow when we are both calm." The first sentence creates injury. The second protects peace while leaving room for a healthier discussion. Good boundaries do not punish people. They protect what matters. Silent treatment, emotional withdrawal, and disappearing without explanation are not always boundaries. Sometimes they are forms of punishment or avoidance. A healthy boundary communicates the issue clearly when communication is safe and possible. Instead of suddenly ignoring someone, say, "I need time to think before I respond." This gives you space without creating unnecessary confusion. There are situations where immediate distance is necessary, especially when someone is threatening, abusive, or repeatedly unsafe. In those cases, you do not owe endless explanations. Your safety matters more than appearing polite. Good manners never require you to remain in danger. In ordinary relationships, however, clarity is usually better than guessing. People cannot respect limits they do not know exist. You may assume that they should understand automatically, but what feels obvious to you may not be obvious to them. Speak before resentment becomes an explosion. Do not tolerate something 10 times and then react with extreme anger on the 11th. Address the pattern early. Say, "When plans change at the last moment without explanation, it affects my time. Please tell me earlier in the future." This is easier to receive than months of hidden frustration released in one painful argument. Your tone should be firm, not apologetic. Some people weaken their boundaries by speaking as if they are asking permission. They say, "I am really sorry, and maybe I am wrong, but would it possibly be okay if you did not speak to me like that?" This uncertainty invites negotiation. You are allowed to be direct. Say, "Please do not speak to me that way." Respectful language does not require uncertainty. At the same time, avoid using boundaries as a weapon. Some people learn the language of self-respect and begin using it to avoid all responsibility. They call every disagreement disrespect. They label every uncomfortable conversation toxic. They cut people off whenever they are challenged. A boundary is not a tool for escaping accountability. Someone correcting your harmful behavior is not automatically violating your peace. Someone disagreeing with you is not necessarily attacking you. Emotional maturity requires knowing the difference between being disrespected and simply being uncomfortable. You must also respect other people's boundaries. It is unfair to demand that others accept your no while becoming offended when they say no to you. If someone says they need rest, space, time, or privacy, do not punish them for protecting themselves. Their boundary is not always a rejection of your value. Learn to receive a boundary without making it personal. Someone may care about you and still be unavailable. They may love you and still need time alone. They may respect you and still disagree with your request. Mature relationships allow both people to have limits. Boundaries around time are essential because time is your life in measurable form. Every unnecessary commitment takes time from your health, goals, family, rest, or responsibilities. Being constantly available may make you feel needed, but it can also prevent you from building the life you want. Decide when you are available and when you need uninterrupted time. You do not have to answer every call immediately. You do not have to respond to every message the moment it arrives. You can create periods for work, rest, and personal focus. However, do not use this as an excuse for carelessness. If someone genuinely depends on your response, communicate your availability. Say, "I will be working for the next 2 hours, but I will reply afterwards." This respects both your focus and the other person's expectations. Financial boundaries are equally important. Helping someone can be generous, but lending or giving beyond your ability can create long-term stress. Do not allow guilt to make decisions your income cannot support. You can care about someone's problem without becoming responsible for solving all of it. Say, "I cannot provide that amount, but this is what I can offer," if you genuinely want to help. Do not borrow money yourself just to maintain an image of generosity. Support that destroys your stability is not sustainable. Be especially careful when someone repeatedly creates the same emergency and expects you to rescue them every time. Constant rescue can prevent responsibility. Sometimes the most respectful action is refusing to protect a person from every consequence of their choices. Emotional boundaries matter when people use you as a place to release all their anger, fear, and frustration without caring about your condition. Supporting someone is valuable, but you are not required to be available for every crisis at every hour. You can say, "I care about what you are going through, but I do not have the emotional capacity for this conversation tonight. Can we speak tomorrow?" This is not abandonment, it is honest communication. You should also avoid placing your entire emotional burden on one person. Good boundaries work both ways. Friends, partners, and family can support you, but they cannot carry every fear, solve every insecurity, and regulate every emotion for you. Personal responsibility strengthens relationships. Boundaries are important in families because closeness can sometimes create entitlement. A relative may believe that family connection gives them unlimited access to your time, money, decisions, or private information. Respecting family does not mean surrendering every personal choice. You can listen to advice without obeying every opinion. You can love relatives while limiting conversations that become insulting. You can attend some gatherings and decline others. You can protect private matters from people who repeatedly turn them into gossip. Say, "I appreciate your concern, but I have made my decision." This sentence recognizes their intention without handing over control of your life. In friendships, boundaries reveal whether the relationship is based on mutual respect or convenience. A healthy friend does not contact you only when they need help. They do not make jokes about your weaknesses after you ask them to stop. They do not repeatedly cancel plans while expecting you to remain available. Address these patterns clearly. Say, "I value our friendship, but this behavior is affecting my trust." Give the person a chance to respond and change. Not every mistake requires ending a friendship, but repeated disrespect should not be ignored simply because of history. The length of a relationship does not automatically make it healthy. You may have known someone for many years, but time does not excuse continued harm. Loyalty is valuable when it protects something good. Loyalty that requires you to accept endless disrespect becomes self-betrayal. In the workplace, boundaries help protect professionalism. You may have a manager who constantly assigns work outside your responsibilities, colleagues who interrupt your focus, or clients who expect access at all hours. Respond with clarity and facts. You might say, "I can complete this new task, but the current deadline will need to move. Which priority should come first?" This is better than saying yes to everything and then failing to deliver. A professional boundary does not sound emotional or aggressive. It explains capacity, expectations, and consequences. This makes it easier for others to understand what is possible. In romantic relationships, boundaries create safety. Love does not remove the need for respect, A person who loves you should not insult you, control your friendships, invade your privacy, threaten you, or use jealousy to justify harmful behavior. You can say, "I am willing to discuss concerns, but I will not accept accusations without reason." You can say, "My privacy still matters inside a relationship." You can say, "If this behavior continues, I will need to reconsider this relationship." Do not make empty threats. Only state consequences you are prepared to follow. Boundaries become weak when they are repeatedly announced but never enforced. There is a difference between patience and permission. Patience means giving someone time to improve while observing real effort. Permission means allowing the same behavior indefinitely without consequence. Forgiveness does not require you to restore the same level of access. You may forgive someone and still decide not to trust them with private information. You may forgive and still end the relationship. Forgiveness releases your heart from bitterness. Boundaries protect you from repeated harm. Some people will react badly when you change. They were comfortable with the version of you who never refused, never questioned, and never protected personal limits. Your growth may feel like rejection to them because they are losing an advantage. Do not become cruel, but do not become guilty. A person's disappointment does not automatically mean your boundary is wrong. Sometimes people become upset simply because they can no longer control your behavior. Expect resistance when you first become more assertive. If you have spent years agreeing to everything, your first no may shock people. Remain steady. You are not responsible for making every person comfortable with your self-respect. At the same time, examine whether your boundary is reasonable. Healthy boundaries protect dignity without becoming rigid walls. If nobody can speak honestly with you, challenge you, depend on you, or enter your private world, you may not be protecting yourself. You may be avoiding vulnerability. The goal is not to need nobody. The goal is to build relationships where closeness does not require losing yourself. A wall keeps everyone outside. A boundary includes a door. It allows trustworthy people to come closer while keeping harmful behavior at a distance. You decide who enters, how far they enter, and what conduct is required. When a person apologizes and demonstrates consistent change, a boundary may gradually adjust. Trust can be rebuilt through behavior, not promises alone. Do not rush the process simply because someone wants immediate forgiveness and full access. Observe patterns. A sincere person will respect the time required to rebuild trust. A manipulative person will pressure you to forget quickly because they want the consequence removed. Your own behavior must remain respectful while enforcing a boundary. Do not gossip about the person, expose their secrets, or try to destroy their reputation. You can leave without creating a public campaign against them. This is especially important when ending relationships. Many people believe that once someone hurts them, every form of cruelty becomes acceptable. They release private conversations, reveal personal weaknesses, and use shared memories as weapons. This does not protect dignity. It reveals a loss of control. You can say, "This relationship is no longer healthy for me, so I am stepping away." You do not need to prove your decision to everyone. Quiet distance can be stronger than public revenge. Avoid arguing endlessly with people who have already decided not to understand your boundary. After you have explained yourself clearly, continued debate may only drain you. Not every person deserves repeated access to your reasoning. Sometimes your final boundary is silence, distance, or complete separation. This should not be used casually, but it may become necessary when every conversation is manipulated, every apology is false, and every opportunity is abused. Leaving is not always disrespectful. The way you leave matters. Leave without unnecessary cruelty. Do not create damage you will later regret. Protect yourself without becoming the kind of person you are escaping. The deepest boundary is the one you set with yourself. You must decide what behavior you will no longer repeat, what habits you will refuse, and what promises you will keep. It is difficult to demand respect from others while constantly betraying your own standards. Set boundaries around your sleep, health, spending, attention, and commitments. Stop allowing temporary emotions to control long-term decisions. Say no to the version of yourself that keeps creating avoidable problems. Self-discipline is a form of self-respect. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your inner trust becomes stronger. Every time you abandon your own limits, you teach yourself that your word has no weight. Good manners and boundaries are not enemies, they strengthen each other. Manners keep your boundary respectful. Boundaries keep your kindness from becoming self-destruction. You can say no without hatred. You can disagree without insulting. You can leave without exposing. You can protect your time without acting superior. You can defend your dignity without attacking someone else's dignity. The most powerful boundary is often delivered in a calm voice. It does not beg to be understood. It does not threaten. It simply communicates truth. I will not continue this conversation while we are insulting each other. I cannot make that commitment. I am not comfortable sharing that information. I need time before making this decision. This behavior cannot continue if this relationship is going to remain healthy. These sentences are not rude. They are mature. A person with strong boundaries is not cold. They are clear. They understand that kindness without limits eventually becomes resentment, and that self-respect without manners can become arrogance. They choose the balanced path. Protect your peace, but do not punish innocent people for what others have done. Remain open to healthy connection. Allow respectful people to know you. Give trustworthy individuals room to prove themselves. The goal is not to become unreachable. It is to become unavailable for repeated disrespect. When you set boundaries with calmness, consistency, and dignity, people learn that your kindness is valuable but not weak. Your patience is real but not endless. Your respect is freely given, but your self-respect will never be surrendered. That is the hidden strength of good manners. You do not need to shout, insult, or create fear. You can protect your life with clear words, controlled behavior, and the courage to walk away when respect is no longer present. Chapter 7. Reveal your true character when you are angry. Anyone can appear respectful when life is moving in their favor. It is easy to smile when people agree with you, remain patient when nobody challenges you, and speak kindly when your pride feels safe. But anger removes the mask. It reveals whether your manners are genuine or only a performance you maintain when everything is comfortable. The real measure of your character is not how politely you behave during peaceful moments. It is how you respond when someone disappoints you, misunderstands you, insults you, rejects you, or touches a wound you have tried to hide. That is when your emotions become louder than your values. That is when you must decide whether anger will control your behavior or your principles will control your anger. Anger itself does not make you a bad person. It is a natural response to pain, injustice, betrayal, frustration, and disrespect. It alerts you that something feels wrong. The danger begins when you allow that emotion to choose your words and actions without discipline. A moment of uncontrolled anger can damage something that took years to build. One cruel sentence can weaken trust. One exposed secret can destroy a friendship. One insulting message can permanently change a relationship. You may apologize later, but the person will still remember that when you were angry, you deliberately chose the words most likely to hurt them. Many people say, "I did not mean it. I was only angry." But anger does not remove responsibility. You still selected the insult. You still pressed send. You still raised your voice. You still used private knowledge as a weapon. Emotions may explain your behavior, but they do not excuse every choice made under their influence. Good manners become most valuable when you are angry, because that is when they require real strength. Being respectful when you feel calm costs very little. Remaining dignified when every part of you wants to attack requires discipline. The first skill is learning to recognize anger before it takes control. Anger usually gives physical warnings. Your heart begins beating faster. Your voice changes. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your body becomes tense. You feel pressure to answer immediately. Your thoughts become extreme, and every small issue begins to look like proof that the other person has never respected you. Notice these signs. They are warnings that your judgment is becoming less reliable. When your emotions rise, your ability to listen, understand, and consider consequences becomes weaker. That is not the moment to make permanent decisions. Do not believe the thought that says, "I must answer right now." Most situations do not require an immediate response. A pause is not weakness, it is protection. Say, "I need a few minutes before I respond." Walk away if necessary. Drink water. Breathe slowly. Allow your body to leave its defensive state. The goal is not to pretend the problem does not exist. The goal is to discuss it without allowing anger to turn you into someone you do not respect. There is great power in delaying a reaction. The message you desperately want to send tonight may appear embarrassing tomorrow morning. The decision that feels completely justified during anger may look destructive once your mind becomes calm. Write the message if you need to release the thoughts, but do not send it immediately. Read it after an hour. Remove every sentence written only to wound the other person. Keep the facts, keep the boundary, remove the cruelty. Ask yourself, what result do I want from this conversation? If you want understanding, your words should create understanding. If you want the behavior to change, your message should clearly address the behavior. If you only want the other person to feel the pain you are feeling, recognize that your goal has shifted from resolution to revenge. Revenge may feel satisfying for a moment, but it creates new problems without healing the original wound. You may win the argument and lose the relationship. You may embarrass the person and later feel ashamed of yourself. You may prove that they hurt you while also proving that pain can easily control your character. Never confuse emotional destruction with strength. Shouting louder does not make your position more correct. Finding the other person's deepest insecurity and attacking it does not make you intelligent. Refusing to stop when they are already hurt does not make you powerful. True strength is having the ability to destroy someone with your words and choosing not to do it. You may know their secrets, fears, past mistakes, family problems, or personal weaknesses. They may have trusted you with these details during safer moments. Anger can tempt you to use that information against them. Resist it. Never weaponize something that was shared with you in confidence. Even when the relationship ends, your character remains. The other person's mistake does not give you permission to abandon your principles. If someone trusted you with a painful memory, protect it. If they revealed a private struggle, do not expose it. If they admitted an insecurity, do not use it to win a disagreement. The moment you turn private trust into public ammunition, you teach everyone watching that you are not safe. People may forgive your anger, but they will struggle to trust you again if they know their vulnerabilities become weapons during conflict. Keep the argument connected to the actual issue. Do not collect every mistake the person has made and throw them all into one conversation. If the problem is that they broke a promise today, discuss that broken promise. Do not suddenly attack their appearance, intelligence, family, career, and entire history. When people become angry, they often use words such as always and never. They say, "You always disappoint me," or "You never care." These statements usually exaggerate the problem and invite the other person to defend themselves rather than understand your pain. Use accurate language. Say, "When this promise was broken, I felt disappointed because I was depending on you." This does not hide the hurt. It expresses it in a way that can be understood. Speak from your experience, instead of announcing that you know the other person's intentions. Saying, "You did this because you do not care about me," may not be true. You know what happened, but you may not know exactly why. Ask before assuming. Say, "Help me understand why this happened." Their explanation may not remove responsibility, but it can prevent your imagination from making the situation worse. Anger often creates stories. Your mind takes one event and turns it into evidence of complete rejection. A delayed reply becomes proof that you are unimportant. A disagreement becomes proof that the person has never respected you. A mistake becomes proof that everything was false. Before reacting, separate facts from assumptions. What actually happened? What meaning did you add to it? What information is still missing? This discipline can prevent unnecessary conflict. Many relationships have been damaged not by the original event, but by the story someone created before asking a simple question. Listening is difficult when you are angry because your mind searches only for information that supports your position. You hear every word as an attack. You interrupt. You prepare your response instead of understanding the explanation. Force yourself to slow down. Let the other person finish. Repeat what you heard before answering. You can say, "What I understand is that you felt ignored when I made that decision. Is that correct?" This shows that you are trying to understand, not simply waiting for another chance to fight. Understanding does not mean agreement. You can understand someone's feelings while still disagreeing with their conclusion. You can listen respectfully while maintaining your boundary. Do not treat every disagreement as disrespect. Two people can see the same situation differently without one of them being evil. Emotional maturity allows room for another perspective. Some people become angry whenever they are corrected because they believe every challenge threatens their worth. They immediately defend themselves, attack the messenger, or search for the other person's mistakes to avoid facing their own. When someone gives you criticism, pause before rejecting it. Ask whether there is any truth inside it. The delivery may be imperfect, but the message may still reveal something you need to improve. A mature person can say, "I do not agree with everything you said, but I understand that my behavior affected you." This response protects dignity without refusing responsibility. Do not make winning the argument more important than protecting the relationship. Many conflicts become destructive because both people stop searching for truth and start searching for victory. They interrupt, twist words, bring up old failures, and refuse to admit anything that might weaken their position. But a relationship cannot win when one person must lose. Sometimes the strongest sentence is, "You are right about that." Admitting a mistake does not make you weak. It shows that truth matters more to you than pride. Apologize when your behavior crosses the line, even if the other person also behaved badly. Their mistake does not cancel yours. You can take responsibility for your part without accepting blame for everything. Say, "I was right to raise the issue, but I was wrong in the way I spoke to you." This keeps the concern valid while recognizing the disrespectful delivery. A sincere apology should not hide behind excuses. Do not say, "I am sorry, but you made me angry." That places responsibility back on the other person. Nobody controls every word that leaves your mouth. Say, "I allowed my anger to control my words, and what I said was wrong." This shows ownership. After apologizing, change the behavior. Repeating the same apology after every angry explosion eventually makes the words meaningless. Regret without improvement becomes a pattern. Identify what causes your anger. Perhaps you react strongly when you feel ignored, controlled, embarrassed, or rejected. The present event may be touching an older wound. Understanding the deeper trigger helps you respond to the current situation instead of releasing years of hidden pain onto one person. Ask yourself why the moment feels so powerful. Are you only angry about what happened today, or are you remembering every similar experience from the past? Sometimes the person in front of you becomes a target for pain they did not create. This is unfair. Healing requires learning to separate old wounds from new situations. Do not expect people to read your mind. You may become angry because someone failed to meet an expectation you never communicated. You assumed they should automatically know what you needed. Clear communication prevents many conflicts. Explain your expectations before resentment builds. Say what matters to you. Ask for what you need. Do not silently test people and then punish them for failing an examination they did not know they were taking. When you need to express anger, focus on clarity. Explain what happened, how it affected you, and what needs to change. Avoid long speeches filled with accusations. You can say, "When you shared that private information, I felt betrayed. I need to know that personal conversations will remain confidential." This is direct, serious, and respectful. You do not need to smile while discussing painful behavior. Good manners do not mean softening every truth until it becomes meaningless. You are allowed to be firm. You are allowed to show disappointment. You are allowed to end a conversation or relationship when respect has disappeared. The goal is not to remove strength from your message. It is to remove unnecessary cruelty. There are moments when silence is wiser than speaking. Not every provocation deserves a response. Some people insult you because they want access to your emotions. They are not looking for understanding. They want a reaction. When you react exactly as they expected, you hand them control. They determine your mood, your language, and your behavior. Silence can protect your dignity when a conversation has become pointless. You can say, "I will not continue this discussion in this way," and leave. Walking away does not mean the other person has won. It means you value your character more than the temporary satisfaction of returning every insult. Do not confuse silence with avoidance. If the issue matters, return to it when both people are calm. Refusing to discuss every problem creates distance and resentment. Mature silence is temporary. It creates space for a better conversation. Learn the difference between a difficult conversation and a dangerous one. If someone becomes threatening, physically aggressive, or repeatedly abusive, your priority is safety. You are not required to remain polite while protecting yourself from harm. Leave the environment. Seek support. Do not stay simply because you fear being called disrespectful. Good manners never demand that you tolerate danger. In ordinary conflicts, however, protect the other person's dignity. Do not record private arguments to embarrass them later. Do not share screenshots with a group simply to gather supporters. Do not turn personal conflict into public entertainment. Social media has made revenge easy. In a few seconds, private pain can be turned into public humiliation. But once something is released, you cannot fully control where it goes or how long it remains. Before exposing someone, ask whether you are protecting others from genuine harm or only trying to punish the person who hurt you. These are very different motives. When a relationship ends, leave with the same character you wanted to display while it existed. Do not release secrets, spread rumors, or rewrite every good memory as if it was all meaningless. You can acknowledge that something ended badly without denying that it once mattered. You can protect yourself without destroying the other person. Anger inside families requires special care because words spoken at home often leave the deepest wounds. People sometimes control themselves around strangers, but release every frustration onto those closest to them. They remain polite in public and become cruel in private. That is not good character. Your family should not receive the worst version of you simply because you believe they will remain. Do not insult your spouse, children, parents, or siblings because you feel safe enough to lose control. Familiarity does not remove the need for respect. Children especially remember the atmosphere created by adult anger. Constant shouting teaches them that love is unstable and that mistakes lead to humiliation. Discipline can be firm without becoming frightening. Correct the behavior. Explain the consequence. Do not attack the child's identity. Saying, "You made a dishonest choice," is different from saying, "You are a liar and will never become anything." One addresses an action. The other creates a wound. In professional situations, anger can damage your reputation quickly. A single uncontrolled moment may cause people to question your judgment, reliability, and leadership. When problems occur, focus on solutions. Do not send angry emails while emotions are high. Read them again before sending. Remove sarcasm, blame, and unnecessary accusations. State the issue clearly. Explain the effect. Request the required action. Professional communication becomes stronger when emotion does not hide the facts. A leader's anger affects everyone nearby. When leaders humiliate people, teams begin hiding mistakes. Nobody takes healthy risks because they fear public punishment. Problems remain hidden until they become serious. A wise leader creates accountability without terror. They correct clearly, listen to explanations, and remain controlled. Their calmness allows people to focus on solving the problem rather than surviving the reaction. Anger can also reveal arrogance. Some people believe their status gives them permission to mistreat anyone who disappoints them. They shout at workers, insult service staff, and embarrass those with less power. Watch yourself when you have authority. The person may be unable to respond, but their silence does not mean your behavior is acceptable. Real class is shown when you have the power to humiliate someone and choose respect instead. The strongest person in the room is not the one everyone fears. It is the one who can remain fair while holding authority. Do not allow alcohol, stress, exhaustion, or pressure to become permanent excuses for bad behavior. These conditions may make emotional control harder, but they do not remove your responsibility to manage yourself. If you know you become harsh when tired, avoid important discussions late at night. If stress makes you impatient, communicate that you need time before responding. Understanding your limits allows you to prevent unnecessary damage. Create a personal rule for anger. Decide what you will never do, regardless of how hurt you feel. You may decide never to insult someone's family, never to expose private information, never to send messages while shaking with rage, and never to make permanent decisions during emotional chaos. These rules protect you when clear thinking becomes difficult. You should also decide what you will do instead. Perhaps you will take a walk, write privately, breathe for 5 minutes, pray, exercise, or speak to a trusted person who will calm you rather than encourage revenge. Choose someone who values truth, not drama. A wise friend will not automatically support every angry reaction. They will help you see the situation clearly and protect you from choices you may regret. Be careful when discussing conflict with people who enjoy turning pain into entertainment. They may encourage you to send the message, expose the secret, or end the relationship immediately because they do not have to live with the consequences. Advice should make you wiser, not more destructive. Sometimes anger is not loud. It appears as coldness, sarcasm, withdrawal, or silent punishment. A person may avoid shouting, but still create emotional pain by refusing communication, withholding affection, or making indirect comments. Do not believe that calm-looking cruelty is better than loud anger. The purpose is not merely to lower your voice. It is to act with fairness. If you need space, communicate it. Say, "I am too upset to have a useful conversation right now. I will speak with you tomorrow." Then return to the discussion as promised. Disappearing for days without explanation may make the other person feel anxious and powerless. Space becomes punishment when it is used to control rather than calm yourself. Forgiveness is another part of anger management, but forgiveness does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let bitterness control your future. You can forgive and still require change. You can forgive and maintain distance. You can forgive without restoring the same level of trust. Trust is rebuilt through consistent behavior. Do not force yourself to feel safe simply because someone apologized. At the same time, do not use past mistakes as permanent weapons after you have chosen to continue the relationship. If you decide to stay, work toward healing. If you cannot move forward, be honest. Do not repeatedly punish someone for a mistake while claiming that it has been forgiven. You must also learn to forgive yourself. Perhaps you have said things in anger that you deeply regret. Take responsibility, apologize sincerely, Repair what can be repaired, then change. Shame that produces no growth becomes another form of self-destruction. Your past behavior should teach you, not permanently define you. Every difficult moment gives you a chance to become more disciplined. Each time you pause instead of exploding, your self-control becomes stronger. Each time you choose clear words instead of insults, your character grows. Nobody becomes emotionally mature in one day. It is built through repeated decisions made when emotions are intense. You will not always handle anger perfectly. There may be moments when your voice rises or your words become sharper than they should. Correct yourself quickly. Do not allow pride to continue a behavior you already recognize as wrong. You can stop in the middle of a conversation and say, "I am becoming disrespectful. I need to pause." That is not embarrassment, that is awareness. The ability to correct yourself before someone else forces you to do it is a powerful sign of growth. Remember that the person in front of you may also be carrying pain. Their behavior may still be wrong, but understanding their struggle can help you respond with wisdom. Compassion does not remove boundaries. You can understand why someone acted badly and still refuse to accept the behavior. You can recognize their pain without allowing it to become permission to harm you. Good manners during anger create balance. They allow you to remain human without becoming passive, and strong without becoming cruel. You can say, "What you did was unacceptable," without saying, "You are worthless." You can say, "I need distance," without saying, "Nobody will ever love you." You can say, "This relationship must end," without exposing everything that was shared inside it. You can defend yourself without trying to destroy the person who hurt you. That is the highest level of emotional discipline. One day people may forget the argument, but they will remember how you behaved when you had every reason to be angry. They will remember whether you protected their dignity, controlled your language, and remained fair. More importantly, you will remember who you became in that moment. Do not allow another person's behavior to choose your character for you. Their disrespect belongs to them. Your response belongs to you. You may not control what people say, what they misunderstand, what they break, or how they disappoint you, but you can control whether their actions turn you into someone you do not want to become. Let anger inform you, but never let it rule you. Listen to what it is revealing, address what needs to change, and then respond with discipline. Anyone can lose control. Anyone can shout. Anyone can insult. Anyone can damage. The rare person is the one who feels the full force of anger and still chooses dignity. That person does not remain calm because they are weak. They remain calm because their values are stronger than their emotions. When anger reveals your character, make sure it reveals strength, restraint, honesty, and self-respect. Let people see that even when you are hurt, you do not abandon your principles. That is not only good manners, that is mastery over yourself. Chapter 8. Leave every person with their dignity. The highest form of good manners is not simply knowing how to greet people, speak politely, or behave correctly in public. It is learning how to protect human dignity in every situation, especially when you have the power to damage it. Anyone can treat people well when the relationship is easy. Your deeper character appears when you must disagree, correct, reject, dismiss, separate from, or confront someone who has disappointed you. You may not be able to give every person what they want, but you can still treat them as if their humanity matters. You may refuse a request without making the person feel worthless. You may end a relationship without turning private memories into public weapons. You may correct a mistake without making someone feel that one failure has erased their entire value. You may hold someone accountable without enjoying their humiliation. Dignity is the quiet feeling that a person still has worth, even when they are imperfect, inexperienced, rejected, struggling, or wrong. Good manners preserve that feeling. They remind you that another person does not become less human simply because they have less money, less education, less confidence, less influence, or less power than you. Many people claim to respect others, but their respect disappears whenever they gain an advantage. They become arrogant with workers, impatient with beginners, mocking toward people who lack knowledge, and cruel toward those who cannot defend themselves. They treat powerful people carefully and powerless people carelessly. This is not respect, it is calculation. Your true manners are revealed by how you behave when the other person cannot reward you, punish you, or improve your position. The waiter who brings your meal, the cleaner who maintains the building, the driver who takes you somewhere, the employee who makes a mistake, and the stranger who asks for directions, all deserve basic dignity. Do not make anyone feel invisible. Look at people when you speak to them. Return their greeting. Say thank you. Do not throw instructions at them as if they are machines. Acknowledge effort, even when the work appears ordinary. What feels like a small service to you may be how someone supports an entire family. Status should never determine the quality of your manners. If your respect rises and falls according to another person's usefulness, it is not character, it is strategy. You must also protect dignity when someone lacks knowledge. People are often cruel toward beginners because being more informed gives them a temporary feeling of superiority. They laugh at simple questions, mock incorrect pronunciation, interrupt explanations, or behave as if learning slowly is a personal failure. Remember that everything you know was once unfamiliar to you. Every skill you perform confidently began with confusion. Someone gave you time, corrected you, or allowed you to make mistakes without announcing your ignorance to the world. When someone asks a question, do not make them regret asking. Answer clearly if you can. If you cannot, admit it without pretending. Knowledge becomes more valuable when it is shared with humility. A person who uses intelligence to embarrass others may look clever, but they reveal emotional poverty. Wisdom does not need an audience to prove itself. A truly educated person can explain something difficult without making the listener feel small. The same principle applies when people make mistakes. A mistake may need correction, but humiliation is rarely necessary. When you speak as if one failure defines the entire person, you destroy motivation instead of creating improvement. Separate the action from the identity. Say, "This decision was careless," rather than, "You are a careless person." Say, "This work needs to be improved," rather than, "You are incapable of doing anything properly." One statement identifies a problem. The other places a permanent label on someone's character. People grow when they believe improvement is possible. If your correction makes them feel hopeless, your approach has failed, even if your criticism was technically correct. Choose privacy whenever possible. Public embarrassment may produce quick obedience, but it also produces shame, resentment, and fear. A person who is repeatedly humiliated will eventually hide mistakes instead of asking for help. They become focused on avoiding your reaction rather than improving their behavior. When correction is necessary, take the person aside. Explain what happened, why it matters, and what must change. Speak firmly enough for the lesson to be clear, but respectfully enough for dignity to remain. There may be emergencies where you must stop harmful behavior immediately. Even then, address the danger first and save the deeper discussion for a more private moment. Do not turn an urgent correction into a performance of your authority. The way you handle another person's failure will determine whether they trust you with the truth in the future. Dignity is especially important when you have authority. A manager, teacher, parent, leader, or experienced person can shape how others see themselves. A few careless words from someone with influence may stay in a person's mind for years. Power makes your behavior heavier. A joke from a colleague may be forgotten, but the same joke from a leader can feel like a public judgment. Criticism from a stranger may pass quickly, but criticism from a parent may become part of a child's inner voice. Use authority carefully. Do not create fear simply because you can. Do not demand respect while behaving in ways that destroy it. Position may force people to obey you, but only character can make them genuinely value you. A strong leader does not need people to feel small. They create standards without crushing confidence. They correct without insulting, guide without controlling, and recognize effort without taking all the credit. When someone succeeds under your leadership, acknowledge their contribution. When something fails, examine your own responsibility before distributing blame. People remember leaders who protected them during difficulty and recognized them during success. Parents must also protect dignity. Children are still developing their understanding of themselves. If every mistake is met with labels such as lazy, useless, foolish, or hopeless, those words can become an identity they carry into adulthood. Correct the behavior without attacking the child's worth. Explain consequences, teach responsibility, and make expectations clear. But do not use humiliation as entertainment in front of relatives or friends. A child who spills something, forgets a task, or performs poorly needs guidance. They do not need to be reminded that they are a disappointment. Discipline should teach them what to do better, not convince them that they are fundamentally broken. When children feel safe enough to admit mistakes, parents can guide them before small problems become serious. Fear may create silence, but safety creates honesty. Dignity must also remain during disagreement. Many people believe that when someone holds a different opinion, every form of disrespect becomes acceptable. They mock intelligence, attack character, interrupt constantly, and treat the conversation as a battle. A disagreement is not permission to become cruel. Another person's view may be wrong, incomplete, or harmful, but your response still reveals your standards. Challenge the idea, ask questions, present evidence, explain why you disagree. Do not automatically attack the person's appearance, background, family, or private life. When you cannot prove your point without humiliation, your argument becomes weaker, not stronger. You are allowed to end a conversation that is no longer productive. Say, "We are not going to agree, and I do not want this discussion to become disrespectful." Leaving a pointless argument may protect more dignity than continuing until both people say things they regret. Online conversations require the same manners. A screen does not remove another person's humanity. It is easy to type words you would never say while looking into someone's eyes. Distance creates false courage. Before posting a comment, ask whether you are correcting an idea or trying to hurt a person. Ask whether your words would still feel acceptable if your name, face, family, and workplace were attached to them. Do not turn someone's mistake into public entertainment. Do not share private messages simply because an argument ended badly. Do not join a crowd humiliating a stranger for one foolish moment. Digital cruelty creates real wounds. A person may close the application, but the shame, fear, and anxiety can remain. Good manners are not limited to physical spaces. Your character should survive the internet. You must also preserve dignity when refusing someone. Rejection is sometimes unavoidable. You may decline a request, application, invitation, proposal, friendship, opportunity, or romantic interest. You cannot say yes to everyone, but you can still say no without unnecessary damage. Do not laugh at someone for having the courage to ask. Do not reveal their request to others for entertainment. Do not keep them waiting when you already know your answer. Clear rejection is often kinder than false hope. Say, "Thank you for asking, but I cannot agree to this." Say, "I respect your honesty, but I do not feel the same way." Say, "We have chosen another direction, but I appreciate the effort you made." You do not need to invent cruel details to make your decision sound stronger. A refusal can be clear without becoming humiliating. When rejecting someone romantically, avoid using their vulnerability to feed your ego. Their interest is not a trophy. Do not show private messages to friends simply to prove that someone wanted you. Treat their honesty with care, even when you cannot return the feeling. One day, you may be the person waiting for an answer. Give others the consideration you would hope to receive. The same principle matters when ending a relationship. Endings reveal character because pain often creates the desire to punish. You may feel betrayed, disappointed, or exhausted. You may believe the other person deserves to feel what you felt, but destroying their dignity will not restore yours. You can end a relationship firmly. You can explain that trust has been broken. You can refuse further access. You can leave permanently. None of this requires exposing secrets, mocking private weaknesses, or turning shared memories into weapons. Do not announce every detail to people who have no need to know. Do not rewrite the entire past simply because the ending was painful. Something can have contained real moments and still become unhealthy. Leave with honesty. Say what must be said. Protect yourself. Then allow distance to do what endless arguments cannot. A dignified ending does not mean there were no consequences. It means you refuse to let another person's behavior pull you beneath your own standards. There may be situations where speaking openly is necessary to protect others from genuine harm. In those cases, focus on facts, safety, and appropriate action. Do not exaggerate, entertain a crowd, or mix truth with revenge. The purpose should be protection, not humiliation. Dignity also matters when someone apologizes. A sincere apology does not automatically repair everything, and you are not required to restore trust immediately. But you should not make a person beg endlessly simply because their regret gives you power. Listen, decide what you need. Be honest about whether forgiveness, distance, or time is necessary. Do not pretend to accept an apology while continuing to use the mistake as a weapon in every future disagreement. Forgiveness and reconciliation are different. You may release bitterness without restoring the relationship. You may wish someone well from a distance. You may accept their apology while protecting yourself from a repeated pattern. What matters is that your response remains honest. Do not create false peace while secretly planning punishment. When you are the one apologizing, protect the other person's dignity by taking responsibility without forcing them to comfort you. Do not turn your apology into a speech about how terrible you feel until the injured person must reassure you. Say clearly what you did, why it was wrong, and what you will change. Give the other person room to feel hurt. Do not demand immediate forgiveness simply because apologizing was uncomfortable. Respect their process. Your regret does not control their healing. Good manners also require you to protect people who are absent. A person's dignity should not disappear when they leave the room. Gossip often begins with the excuse that someone is only sharing the truth. But truth spoken without purpose can still become cruelty. Before discussing another person's failure, ask whether the listener needs to know. Are you seeking a solution, warning someone about genuine risk, or simply enjoying the attention created by private information? Do not make entertainment from another person's pain. Do not reveal financial struggles, relationship problems, family conflict, health concerns, or personal mistakes, simply because the story is interesting. When people realize that you protect absent individuals, they feel safer sharing their own lives with you. When they hear you expose everyone else, they know they may be next. Trust is built by what you refuse to repeat. Even humor should protect dignity. A joke is not harmless simply because people laugh. Sometimes the person being mocked smiles because they do not know how to defend themselves without making the situation more uncomfortable. Watch their expression. Notice whether the humor is mutual or one-sided. Do not repeatedly make one person the target. Do not joke about insecurities, appearance, poverty, trauma, family, or a mistake someone deeply regrets. The strongest humor brings people together. It does not require a victim. When someone asks you to stop, stop. Do not say they are too sensitive. Their discomfort is enough reason to change your behavior. Dignity is also connected to privacy. Not every question deserves an answer, and not every detail of another person's life belongs to you. Do not pressure people to explain private decisions, reveal income, discuss relationships, or describe painful experiences simply because you are curious. Curiosity does not create entitlement. Allow people to share at their own pace. Respect closed doors. Do not search through someone's belongings, messages, or personal space without permission. Trust cannot survive where privacy is treated as suspicious. In close relationships, openness matters, but openness must still be built through mutual respect. Control is not the same as intimacy. Protect the dignity of people who are struggling. Poverty, unemployment, illness, grief, failure, or dependence can already make someone feel exposed. When you help, do not make them perform their pain to earn your generosity. Give quietly when possible. Do not photograph every act of kindness. Do not remind people repeatedly of what you provided. Help should reduce someone's burden, not create a permanent debt of humiliation. If you lend money, discuss expectations clearly. If you give it, do not later use the gift as proof that you own influence over the person's decisions. Generosity loses its beauty when it becomes control. When people are grieving, avoid forcing them to behave according to your expectations. Some cry openly, others become quiet. Some want company, others need solitude. Do not judge the way someone carries pain simply because it differs from yours. Offer presence without demanding conversation. Say, "I am here when you need me." Help with practical responsibilities. Remember that grief does not disappear because the funeral ended or because several weeks have passed. Dignity sometimes means allowing people to be weak without treating them as permanently broken. Respect elderly people as well. Age may slow the body, hearing, movement, or memory, but it does not erase personhood. Do not speak over them as if they are absent. Do not make decisions about their lives without including them whenever possible. Be patient when they repeat stories. Slow down when they need more time. Do not treat their dependence as an inconvenience after they spent years supporting others. At the same time, do not speak to older people as if they are children. Assistance should not remove respect. Dignity is equally important for people with disabilities. Do not stare, mock, make assumptions, or speak only to the person accompanying them. Address them directly. Ask before offering help. Do not assume that a physical limitation means a lack of intelligence or independence. Good manners recognize the person before the condition. You should also preserve dignity when someone fails publicly. Perhaps a speaker forgets their words, a student answers incorrectly, an employee drops something, or a stranger becomes confused. You can make the moment easier instead of making it unforgettable for the wrong reason. Do not laugh simply because others are laughing. Give the person time to recover. Offer help quietly. Change the subject if necessary. One small act of kindness can prevent a moment of embarrassment from becoming a lasting wound. The world often rewards those who attract attention, but good character is frequently shown by the person who quietly reduces someone else's shame. Be careful with comparisons. Constantly comparing people destroys dignity because it tells them their value exists only in relation to someone else. Do not tell one child why they cannot be more like another. Do not praise one employee by insulting the rest. Do not compare your partner's weaknesses with someone else's strengths. Every person is developing at a different speed and carrying a different history. Encourage improvement without creating competition where none is needed. Say, "You have grown in this area," rather than, "You are finally doing better than that person." Respect progress as personal. You must also allow people to change. Sometimes we trap others inside the memory of who they used to be. They may have made mistakes years ago, but every conversation still returns to that failure. They may have worked hard to improve, yet we continue introducing them through their past. Accountability matters, but growth must remain possible. If someone has demonstrated consistent change, stop using an old version of them to deny the person they are becoming. You would not want every mistake from your own past presented as permanent evidence against you. Dignity includes giving people room to outgrow their failures. However, protecting dignity does not mean hiding serious harm or pretending accountability is unnecessary. You can report wrongdoing, enforce consequences, and protect victims while still refusing cruelty. Justice and humiliation are not the same. Justice seeks safety, truth, repair, and responsibility. Humiliation seeks pleasure from another person's downfall. Watch your heart when someone who hurt you begins to fail. Do you want the situation corrected, or do you want them destroyed? Their consequence may be deserved, but celebrating human suffering can still damage your own character. Remain honest without becoming heartless. Dignity should be present even in competition. You can want to win without needing another person to feel worthless. Respect opponents. Acknowledge good performance. Do not cheat, mock, or become arrogant in victory. How you win reveals as much as how you lose. A gracious winner does not use success to humiliate others. A mature loser does not attack the winner to protect pride. Both understand that one result does not define the total value of either person. In business, do not treat customers, employees, or competitors as objects. Keep promises, explain delays, admit mistakes. Do not hide behind complicated language to avoid responsibility. When someone pays for a service, respect their time and trust. When an employee gives effort, pay fairly and recognize contribution. When a competitor succeeds, learn rather than becoming bitter. Good manners create a reputation that advertising cannot purchase. Dignity also shapes hospitality. When someone enters your home or space, make them feel welcome without measuring their worth by what they brought. Do not serve important guests generously while treating others as an inconvenience. Offer what you have with sincerity. Hospitality is not about displaying wealth. It is about creating comfort. When you are the guest, respect the effort behind the invitation. Arrive with consideration. Follow the household's boundaries. Appreciate what is offered, and do not criticize what someone worked hard to provide. Leave the place with gratitude, not entitlement. One of the deepest signs of dignity is allowing people to keep their face during difficult moments. Sometimes you know someone is embarrassed, financially unable, emotionally overwhelmed, or trying to hide a mistake. You may be able to help without announcing that you noticed. Offer a graceful exit. Change the subject. Provide support privately. Allow them to recover without forcing them to explain everything. Not every truth needs to be spoken at the moment you discover it. Wisdom asks whether speaking will repair something or merely expose someone. There is elegance in understanding without embarrassing. Protecting dignity does not require you to remain close to everyone. Some people may repeatedly disrespect, manipulate, or harm you. You can leave. You can refuse access. You can end communication. You can choose peace. But even distance can be handled with character. Avoid unnecessary insults. Do not create chaos simply to prove that you are serious. State your decision and follow it. A calm departure often communicates more strength than a dramatic final attack. You may never receive the apology you deserve. You may never be understood. You may leave while the other person continues telling an unfair story about you. Still, you do not need to destroy them to prove your truth. Your dignity is not dependent on controlling every opinion. Sometimes the most graceful response is to let your future behavior speak. Remember that every person you meet is carrying an inner life you cannot fully see. The impatient cashier may be worried about a sick parent. The distracted worker may be exhausted. The quiet friend may be fighting a private battle. The person who made a small mistake may already be judging themselves more harshly than you ever could. This does not mean accepting every behavior. It means responding with enough awareness to remember that you are dealing with a human being, not merely a problem. Compassion changes the way correction sounds. It changes the way rejection is delivered. It changes the way authority is used. It allows firmness and kindness to exist together. A dignified person does not avoid truth. They learn how to carry truth without turning it into a weapon. At the end of every interaction, ask yourself a simple question. Did this person leave with their humanity intact? They may have been corrected, refused, challenged, or held accountable. They may not have received the answer they wanted, but did you still speak in a way that allowed them to retain self-respect? You cannot control every emotion people experience. Some will feel disappointed even when you behave perfectly. Your responsibility is not to make everyone happy. It is to avoid unnecessary humiliation. There is a difference between pain caused by truth and pain caused by cruelty. Sometimes honesty hurts, but cruelty adds wounds that serve no purpose. Choose the truth without the poison. The way you treat people becomes part of your legacy. Achievements may impress others for a time, but character enters memory differently. People remember the teacher who believed in them, the leader who corrected them without shame, the stranger who helped quietly, and the friend who protected their secret after the friendship ended. They also remember the person who made them feel worthless. Every interaction gives you a choice about which memory you will leave. You may never know how deeply a respectful word affected someone. You may never hear that your patience prevented them from giving up, or that your kindness restored confidence after a difficult day. Good manners often work silently, do not require immediate recognition. Character is not a performance. It is the standard you follow, even when nobody praises you. Leave the worker feeling respected. Leave the beginner feeling capable of learning. Leave the person you reject feeling that their courage was not mocked. Leave the person you correct knowing that improvement is possible. Leave the relationship without exposing everything once trusted to you. Leave every room without having reduced someone's dignity to increase your own importance. This is the true art of good manners. It is not about memorizing rules so that you appear refined. It is about developing enough strength, awareness, and humility to remember that every human being carries value. Speak firmly when necessary, but never carelessly. Correct what is wrong, but do not destroy what can still grow. Protect yourself, but do not become cruel. Walk away, but do not leave unnecessary wounds behind you. A person of real class does not demand that others feel small in their presence. Their confidence creates safety. Their authority carries fairness. Their honesty carries restraint. Even during difficult moments, people can feel that they are dealing with someone who has principles. The world may teach you that power means being feared, that winning means humiliating, and that respect must be forced. But lasting respect grows differently. It grows when people see that you can hold power without becoming arrogant, speak truth without becoming vicious, and protect your position without removing another person's worth. One day, your words, titles, possessions, and achievements will fade from many people's memories. What will remain is the feeling your presence created. Let that feeling be dignity. Let people remember that you listened when others dismissed them, protected them when others laughed, corrected them without crushing them, and treated them as valuable even when there was nothing to gain. That is more than politeness. It is humanity guided by discipline. And when you learn to leave every person with their dignity, you do not merely become well-mannered. You become the kind of person whose character speaks long after the conversation has ended. Good manners are not about appearing perfect. They are about choosing dignity when disrespect would be easier, patience when anger feels stronger, and kindness when nobody is watching. People may forget your achievements, your clothes, or the words you tried to impress them with, but they will remember how safe, respected, and valued they felt in your presence. So speak with grace, listen with patience, correct without humiliating, set boundaries without hatred, and never make another person feel small just to make yourself feel powerful. In a world becoming louder, colder, and more careless, let your character remain rare. You do not need to demand respect. Live with such discipline, class, and consideration that respect follows you wherever you go. Because the true art of good manners is not learning how to impress people. It is becoming the kind of person they will never forget.